And we're going to read a couple of verses now from the end of chapter 10 and then the first 2 verses of Hebrews chapter 11. You need to persevere so that when you have done the will of God, you will receive what he has promised. For in just a little while, he who is coming will come and will not delay. But my righteous one will live by faith, and I take no pleasure in the one who shrinks back. But we do not belong to those who shrink back and are destroyed, but to those who have faith and are saved. Now faith is confidence in what we hope for, and assurance about what we do not see. This is what the ancients were commended for. First thought is this: persevere. And the author of Hebrews reminds the church that you endured great suffering. Sometimes you were publicly exposed to insult and persecution. At other times, you stood with those who were being treated that way. You suffered along with those in prison. In other words, Christians had been put in prison. You joyfully accepted the confiscation of your property because you knew that you were going to have something better. And the author of Hebrews says, stand firm in your faith. The second thing he says is to receive. The author says you need to persevere so that when you have done the will of God, you will receive what he has promised. Not only salvation, not only relationship, but also that Jesus is coming again. These verses also talk about confidence. Faith is confidence in what we hope for. We can confidently enter into heaven. Our confidence is not in our good works. Our confidence is in Jesus. He completed the work. We are assured by our faith. It gives us a good sense that we are the children of God. Abraham was commended. He was rewarded by God for his faith, and it became his righteousness. Now here's a second thought as you look through this passage of Scripture, and I referred to this in my reflection, my devotion that I wrote and I sent to everybody yesterday. Faith is a verb. By faith, they understood, they brought, they spoke, they pleased, they built an ark, they obeyed the commandments, they went to a promised land, they dwelt in a land that they didn't know. They bore, they looked, they offered, they blessed, they spoke. By faith, the parents of Moses hid him. They chose, they left, they kept, they passed through the wilderness. The walls of Jericho fell. They were welcomed. They conquered. They escaped. And sometimes by faith, they were tortured. They were imprisoned. And they were killed. These were men and women of faith. And as you read Hebrews chapter 11, you see that out of their faith became action. I have lived by faith in the past. So the decisions that I have made by faith go back a ways. How can I live by faith today? How can we be commended by God for living by faith today? What is our now faith compared to my then faith? Because remember, without faith, it's impossible to please God. Okay, so let's talk about living in faith. Here are some daily faith actions. If you do these, you are actually expressing faith. We can look back at the ancients and say, yes, they had amazing faith. We can look at all those action verbs and see, yes, they acted out their faith. Are you living by faith today? And are you willing to let God change you to be more like Jesus?